When it comes to choosing a powerful Mac to buy in 2019, you've got some really great options, but you're gonna have to choose between being limited to a desktop setup or a portable Mac that you can take on the go. So we decided to compare the performance and usability of the iMac versus the MacBook Pro to help you guys decide which one you should buy. For the iMac, we've got the top-of-the-line 2019 model with the 8-core i9 processor and Vega 48 graphics, which comes in at around $3,450 if you add in 32GB of RAM yourself, which we definitely recommend you do. Now for the MacBook Pro, we've got the 2018 model with Vega 20 graphics, 32GB of RAM in the mid-range 2.6GHz 6-core i7 processor for $3,550, just $100 more than the iMac. Now you might be asking, why not choose the i9 processor? Well, we've done extensive testing with it, and we've found that you get basically the same performance as the i7 because the i9 suffers from so much thermal throttling. You can see all of the juicy details in this video above. Now I know these machines are very pricey, so a bit later in the video we're also going to mention the differences between the base models of these machines. So for the high-end models, let's get into performance. In Geekbench 4's single-core test, the iMac scores around 13% faster, and in multi-core, it's around 21% faster. Now the graphics test is where the iMac's new Vega 48 graphics shines, with almost double the score of the MacBook's Vega 20, which is the primary benefit of going the desktop route. Now onto Cinebench R15 CPU test, which really taxes the processors. The iMac is now a massive 53% faster, which really shows the difference in cores and cooling performance. To test both graphics and processing power together, we ran Unigine Heaven, which is a realistic gaming benchmark, and saw that the iMac was getting almost 2 times more FPS than the MacBook Pro. We previously tested a few high-end games on the new 2019 iMac, and we got really good frame rates at high settings, whereas with the MacBook, you'll have trouble unless you hook up an eGPU. Now let's get into some video editing tests, which are greatly affected by graphics performance. In our stabilization test, the iMac finished a couple of seconds faster, which can really add up if you do a lot of stabilization. Then exporting a 5-minute 4K H.264 clip, there's actually not much of a difference at all. Now exporting an 8-bit H.265 clip, the iMac actually falls behind and takes over twice as long to export. That's because the new iMac doesn't include Apple's T2 chip, which supports outstanding hardware HEVC encoding. Now exporting a 10-bit H.265 clip, the iMac now blows the MacBook out of the water because 10-bit video in Final Cut doesn't currently support hardware HEVC encoding that comes with the T2 chip. Now exporting 4.5K Red RAW, which is very processor intensive, the iMac is quite a bit faster because of the processor and graphics performance boost over the MacBook. And we see the same thing exporting 4K 60p Canon C200 RAW. The iMac is now almost twice as fast as the MacBook. And that's not the only difference. What really matters is being able to edit this 60 frames per second footage smoothly, and that's just what the iMac does, running at a consistent 60 frames per second compared to only 30 on the MacBook, and that's with Vega 20 graphics. With the previous high-end 560X graphics, we only got around 17 FPS in this test. So overall, the iMac outperforms the MacBook Pro, except in the case of 8-bit HEVC video editing due to the lack of the T2 chip. But for basically everything else, the iMac will perform much better. Now let's say you need a Mac for basic computer tasks or even high-end photo editing. The MacBook should really be fine and perform close to as well as the iMac since those tasks don't really use the graphics. Now let's talk about some of the highlights of both machines. The iMac is packing a beautiful 5K display that you really have to try out to appreciate. It's incredibly color accurate, bright, and there's no comparison if you're into multitasking. You also get an amazing variety of I/O compared to being limited to a bunch of USB-C ports on the MacBook. You get an excellent mouse and keyboard that seem to last forever on a single charge, and the 5K iMac features a RAM door on the back, so you can save literally hundreds of dollars by upgrading it yourself. But the obvious downside is that it's not portable, and that's where the MacBook Pro really shines. The freedom of being able to take your Mac out of the bedroom or the office and take it onto the couch, to the coffee shop, to your friend's place, on an airplane, or even another country really makes a huge difference. And that's where you're paying a premium for it. The design is incredible and thin, the display is great, even though it's nowhere near as nice as the 5K iMac, and the speakers have really been upgraded this year. They're loud enough to comfortably watch movies and shows with noise in the background. The only downside is the butterfly keyboard that not many people are fond of, but I personally don't mind it at all. When I had the choice of choosing between the iMac and the MacBook, I went with the MacBook because I'm able to spend time around my wife, on the couch, or anywhere else while doing work on my Mac, and sometimes that's worth it over the extra performance. Now you can also have the best of both worlds by using an eGPU with the MacBook Pro. If you want to learn more about that, check out this video. So what if you're on a budget and don't want to spend that much on your Mac? Let's quickly examine the base 5K iMac and 15-inch MacBook Pro. 2018 is the first year that you get a 6-core processor, the T2 chip, DDR4 RAM, and 4GB of graphics memory, all at the base $2,400 price, and it's currently on sale on Amazon for only $2,100 with Prime shipping. We'll leave a link down below. Now the 5K iMac starts at a base price of only $1,800, and you get a similar 6-core processor and faster graphics, but I would highly recommend paying the extra $100 for the SSD and upgrading the RAM yourself to a total of 40GB by using the link below for only $165 instead of getting a total of 32GB from Apple for $600. That's $435 cheaper for even more RAM. That brings the total price of the 5K iMac to $2,065, a bit less than the MacBook Pro on sale. Comparing Geekbench 4 multi-core results, the MacBook Pro is actually slightly faster, and comparing graphics performance, the iMac is over twice as fast, so you'll see a big difference in graphically intensive tasks. And this time, the base iMac gets quick sync technology, but it still lacks the T2 chip's HEVC encoding that comes with the MacBook Pro. Either way, unless you're doing something graphically intensive like video editing, you really won't notice much of a difference in performance, so the MacBook becomes a really great value at the base price thanks to its portability. In the end, it really comes down to whether you want to be portable or you want that beautiful 5K display. If you enjoyed this comparison, click that button above to sub, and also check out some of our other videos right there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.